Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wild Walnut Park Public Engagement Workshop number 3. My name is Erica Green. I'm the City of Calabasas Community Services Director, and we will go over a PowerPoint presentation and get some of your feedback tonight. So I will start that presentation now. So tonight, we will begin with the welcome. That's what I'm doing now. We'll have the presentation starting in just a couple of minutes. At about 6:35, we will have a question and answer period. And then at 7 p.m., we ask that everyone rate your experience. There'll be a QR code at the end of the presentation to give us feedback on how you liked this workshop and how we can improve in the future. The facilitators this evening from the City of Calabasas is myself, as I said, Erica Green, the Community Services Director. We have Robert Yelda, the Public Works Director, and Michael Klein, the Community Development Director. From JMD Landscape Architecture, we have Jeff Maxwell, the Principal Architect. So our workshop objectives this evening is 1, to provide the history of the project and what we've heard from the community so far. Review and discuss schematic benefits and limitations, and then review the updated draft schematic and obtain feedback via question and answers and polls this evening. So we've been through this history a few times, but I will go over it once more. In 2016, public workshops were held to determine the future of Wild Walnut Park. In 2019, City Council approved the Wild Walnut Park Master Plan. In 2020, the project went out to bid, and City Council rejected all bids related to the project and gave direction to staff to install a temporary dog park, value engineer the plans, and determine other funding sources for a permanent park. In 2020, the temporary dog park was opened and other funding sources sought. For the past year and a half or so, staff presented revised value engineered plans to City Council. City Council directed staff to revise plans to move play areas. And staff has worked with the landscape architect to revise those plans. And public workshops and surveys have been held, which brings us where we are tonight. So tonight we will discuss site opportunities and constraints, the feedback that we've received so far through surveys and our public engagement workshops, site amenities, and then the draft schematics. And so tonight we want to get your input on specific site amenities and the drafts of the plans that were modified from the last workshop. So we will have a couple polls towards the end of this workshop. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our architect, Jeff Maxwell, to do a few slides, and then we will get to the question and answer period. So Jeff.
All right, thank you. And I wanted to thank Erica and the city staff for helping us guide through this process. And thank you all for attending. And I look forward to hearing your comments as we go through what we are looking at tonight. So first of all, I want to talk about the project scope, which we are in this project. We are adding play equipment areas, a dog run, various user amenities, such as our water fountains, benches and picnic tables, information kiosk, and a portable restroom with an enclosure. And then another part of the scope is to maintain the open space and the trails that exist at the park already. Other things that we are thinking about are our user types, and we have play equipment users, we have dog run users, and then we have the hikers and the people seeking open space. So we want to pay attention to all 3 different types of those users. Okay. One of the things we really have to be concerned about is the ADA accessibility requirements. And because our site is so sloped, we have to be very careful where we place elements, because we have to provide access to all of the elements that we're introducing to the park so that we make it equally accessible to all. So you'll see that this creates some constraints with where we can place certain items that are a part of our program. Okay. So this is a site analysis with topography, and you'll see this hatched area that are the most suitable areas that we can build on and provide access to. So we're trying to minimize the amount of grading, the amount of excavation, and the amount of hardscape that we would have to add to provide ADA ramps and specialized walkways. And so we have determined that these areas, this area that's hatched is the most suitable for us to build on to minimize the impact on the native slope. So within this area, we have all these elements listed here that we have to fit in. We have the playground equipment areas, the dog run gates have to be ADA accessible. Also, people using the dog runs, the seating in the dog runs also have to be accessible. We have water fountains, our information kiosk, our portable restroom enclosure, and any other elements that require ADA access. We have to fit all of these items within this envelope you see here that's hatched. And so that is why this is a challenge for us. So I think we've come up with some good solutions though. Okay. So far, what we've heard from our 2 previous workshops, a lot of feedback on wanting a larger playground area, including shade, and keeping the natural aesthetic of the park, and also having seating and picnic tables available. Okay. So we're on option C. We had a couple other options previously that we have modified, and we're calling this option C. So I'll just let you all look at this and study this. The playground area is about a little over 5,000 square feet now. I think it's 55, almost 5,500 square feet. It would accommodate whatever we select. I'm showing here 2 at scale large composite structures, and there could also be a few freestanding elements, whatever we select. We've kept the 2 oak trees within the playground area. There'll be a couple benches and seating in that area. If you move over here to the dog gate area, we have an information kiosk there, couple benches, water fountain. Not showing up very well in this image is a water fountain over at the near the playground area entrance. It's kind of under that tree. Yeah, we have a water fountain over at the playground and one over at the dog run. We have shade structures inside the dog enclosure areas. All of that kind of light colored semicircular area that has to be ADA accessible. So we're down, yeah, right there. That's an element, all of those pieces right there, that has to go in that envelope that we showed earlier that showed the hatch area. We added some picnic tables at the Walnut Grove so that we can make a nice picnic grove there, and perhaps another picnic table at the bottom here, yeah. And we have bicycle parking. The intersection will be a signal intersection now, and there'll be road improvements that are taking place now in the parking. Just so you all know, the parking and the sidewalks that are shown in gray, that's locked in. That's a part of another project that's being constructed now. And so we will be working with that. We're not going to change any of those elements, the parking lot or the sidewalks. Those are going to stay just like that. Just to remind you, we're still in schematic design. We're taking feedback. This isn't a finalized plan yet. We'll go through design development and construction drawings. So there'll be adjustments per any comments and feedback that we receive, things of that nature. So this is what we're calling option C. And there's a slight different option D on the next slide. Eric, oh, okay. Do you want to switch yet, Erica, to, there we go, option D.
Yeah.
So option D is very similar. However, now the small dogs and the large dogs are separated. And we have the small dogs in the area by Mulholland Highway. We would still have an entrance gate, some seating, benches, shade structure at each one of those enclosures. But it just provides a little more separation, would increase this, give large dogs more of dedicated space, and small dogs would be separated. The playground is still maxed out. We've made that as large as we can without impacting too much with extra grading and excavation. The restroom enclosure is over by the playground, to the left of the site. Yeah, there we go. That's the restroom enclosure. And so that would be a portable restroom that's serviced on a regular basis, but inside a nice enclosure. And we'll look at that on some of these other slides. So this is what we're calling option D. Okay. And now let's talk about site amenities. So we'll have drinking fountains. The drinking fountains, one at least will have a dog water bowl. This model also has a water bottle filling area, little niche there. You'll see kind of on that in the drinking fountain picture on the right hand side. Yeah, water bottle filling, which people like a lot. We'll have picnic tables and benches. Right now, we are considering concrete picnic tables and benches. There were some picnic tables existing prior, and they've just been deteriorating, and I think they've been vandalized over time. And so these would provide more permanency. And of course, we'll have dog weigh stations throughout. Okay. Next slide, please. Shade structures, particularly at the dog run areas. This would be examples of shade that we can introduce. We'll do similar style at the playground areas once we select our equipment. Some playground equipment includes shade structures as a part of the piece of equipment. So we'll have will include similar shade at the playground areas as we do at the dog run areas. Okay. Next. So we have opportunities to add dog play equipment. There's various pieces that we can add. Okay, and this is the portable restroom enclosure. Now, originally, our original design is similar to what's on the left with a wood fence enclosure. It would be have a door and a gate for servicing. And we're now considering, we prefer this this type of enclosure on the right hand side. Yeah. It provides a place for the enclosures so that it's clean looking, but it's also a place where someone can't hide. And there seems to be a little more safety with this type of enclosure. So that's the one we're considering now. We'll ask for your feedback on if you object to that or if you still prefer the original design. All right, and this is the information kiosk. Again, we changed the design of this from the beginning. Originally, we had a design that's similar to the one on the left, with a built-in seating and a kind of like a larger roof kind of shade on top. But because of our reconfiguration, we weren't able to have such a large footprint for the kiosk. So our idea was to now go towards this kiosk that's on the right, and it would be in the same family as the bathroom enclosure. So it's from the same kind of family of park furnishings. So there would be, so they would complement each other, have the same roof style, these kinds of things. So we thought that was nice. It has a smaller footprint. It still has multi-side area for hanging signs and posts and rules of etiquette for the dog park and any information that the community wants to post at the kiosk. So we'll also ask, is there an objection to this new design that we're working towards now?
We're actually going to do that right now, Jeff. So
Okay.
I'm going to launch a poll, and the question is, do you prefer the updated design for the kiosk and restroom enclosure? So if you can reply yes or no to that poll, we'll give it about 1 minute to complete. All right, about 10 more seconds. Okay, so we will end the poll. These results will be shared with the architect. We're also going to do a survey citywide to the community after this workshop. So we will add those results together and figure out if we are going to do the new design or can move forward with the previous design. So thank you everyone who answered that poll, and we will continue. Jeff?
Okay, so now I want to talk about play equipment and the types of play equipment we're looking at. We have several different categories. This category are spinners or merry-go-rounds. This is kind of a modern version of the merry-go-round that maybe I had at my park when I was young. I want to go through all these different categories of play equipment and get feedback on which elements you prefer, which types of equipment you prefer. Just these are different, these are fun. What I think would be interesting about this is it's a group activity. It's a lot of motion, and I think I just enjoyed these kinds of things when I was a kid. So we included that as an element. We have balance beams or balance beam-like types of equipment and long rolls. And did we miss some slides? Upper body climbing, or are we at the? Erica, no. Oh, okay. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Erica.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. I think we're missing. We missed a couple of slides, but I'll talk you all through it. We have climbing and upper body equipment. So that would be things like parallel bars, arch climbers, or horizontal overhead ladders or overhead rings, and things that you hold on to and ride a track. These are upper body types of activities. There's fixed climbers and there's flexible climbers, and flexible climbers are usually chain or with ropes. So there's a lot of equipment that is rope play, that's climbing, that's similar to kind of what you see on this bottom photo on the left, where it's rope climbing and all the things like that. And then we also had another slide that was swing sets and slides. And so we all know what those are, and those are other elements that we're considering. So I'm sorry, just that I got a little off track with that, but yeah, we missed a couple slides. These are so everyone's familiar with composite structures. That's when two or more components are linked together. So it's just a piece that is a play equipment structure. They'll usually have a climber, a slide, and overhead elements. And I think what we are considering now is to have one or two composite structures and then several different pieces that are freestanding. So at this bottom photo, there's a composite structure with the slide, and then way in the background you see a spinner that's a freestanding element, and then over on the right hand side there's a freestanding swing that's a group swing. And then we have a balance beam there, and also with a slider on that piece and some steps, some balance beam steps. There's a rope climber. So this is kind of not necessarily in the look and style or the fashion, but what we're going towards now is to have a composite structure and then a few pieces of freestanding. So we give a lot of different types of activities, a lot of different options for kids, and just make it a fun little spot for us at Wild Walnut. The colors, I was showing this, the colors that are available, we can select any color we want. We would probably go with a very natural color palette because of the nature of the park. We would stick with neutral tones and things that just kind of blend in more with the hillside. Okay.
All right, so we're going to ask for everyone's feedback. You're going to get a poll of all the categories that Jeff just described. And if you can indicate your top 3 play equipment choices and let us know what you prefer to see at the park. So I'm going to launch that poll now. If you have a couple minutes to complete it. Thank you. All right, about another 30 seconds. All right, we are ending the poll. Thank you for taking the poll. And again, we will take that information and the results of that along with the citywide results and incorporate that into the design. So thank you, everyone. So with that, we're going to open up questions and answers. We still have to poll on the schematic that you prefer, but we will do that after questions and answers so you can get all the information before making that decision. So please raise your hand if you have a question and I will call on you to speak. So first we have Fawn Binford. Go ahead, Fawn. And you are muted. Can you hear us, Fawn?
Yeah, be careful. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, thank you. It's really awesome to see all the improvements that you guys have made. I'm really happy that you guys have listened to us, and I really appreciate your hard work. I know it's so hard to make everyone happy. So I know it's a really hard job that you guys have. can I just say one thing I noticed that I remember, I don't know if you guys have been to the Santa Barbara Zoo. And so in this one family play area, literally they just have this mount and they have like cardboard, like box, leftover cardboard box. I don't know, what do you call it? Like cardboard box that they flatten. And all the kids would ride down this mount. And it's literally one of the most popular thing that they have. And it's so fun and so easy. And I understand that you guys were saying, oh, well, there's only so little flat area. But I feel like if we could kind of think about what we can do with hillside, because it would be so great. Like the kids can easily walk up to the top where they can take some cardboards and slide down. It's super cheap and it doesn't really even need to be like reinforced or anything because it just would hug the curb of the hillside. So I was just wondering if the community could kind of take a look at what other options that are really sort of that goes with the top topography, whatever that kind of goes with the hillside, and it doesn't have to be only for the dogs, it could be for kids as well, because the kids, you can put a slider that hugs the hillside. You could put like this kind of like a spot where they can just ride down the cardboard boxes. I mean, everyone loves that at the Santa Barbara Zoo. And just, you know, some thoughts. I feel like that's kind of a cheap option, and kind of feel like maybe there are things that we could do that's not expensive and still expand the area where the kids can play. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, Vaughn. We appreciate it. All right, next we have Charlotte Meyer. And Charlotte, there you go.
Okay. Oh, first of all, I see that you've done some work and that's very much appreciated. I took some notes and I checked practically everything on the survey for what I want in the park. I couldn't decide on the top 3. So you hit everything I love about all the parks I've ever been to. But I do like the rope structure because it's compatible with saving the aesthetics of this particular location. As far as the bathrooms go, I think we need opaque walls. And I think the structure that you picked, the enclosure, is too modern. The wood is rustic and it fits better into, and so the enclosure and the area that I forgot what it's called now. The
kiosk.
Yes, the kiosk. Thank you. That's a hard word to remember. It's a good Scrabble word though. The kiosk should also be rustic, and even if it has a bench in front or something like that, like the example, I would just like to see consistency with the overall milieu. That's what the community wanted. And when we first started this project, they didn't even want the park. So we came a long way in terms of that, but we have to keep consistently with the materials that are being used. I would like to find out the results of the poll. We've never taken a poll where we have never heard the outcome. So even though it's important for the architect to know, I think it's also important the feedback for the community to know. So if you could tell us how many people voted for what, that would be nice. If you have them here, that would be, I think, something that we've always done. We've also, even we've had a monkey survey, we've also reported out how many people we sent it to and how many people responded. And we really feel that we get a good response if we can get 10%.
Mm-hmm.
But if you only have 3 people responding, do you make public policy with 3 to 5 people? That's really not a reflection of the community.
Correct.
So that's so I would like to see that. I just loved everything you picked, Jeff, for the amenities for the playground. I really think you nailed it very well. And I appreciate that. Let's see. I would prefer option D because it allows for more space for the children. I kind of wish that at some time in the future, I expect we will be working with you again. I hope we will, that you will incorporate overlays. So if you're going to put, you have the, we did this with the schools when we built our schools. When we laid out things, we have the floor plan or the layout of the park, the footprint, and then you put the old option C down and then option D, and it drives it home what you've changed, and it gives us a little better idea. Because right now I have to stretch my imagination, and I would like to see that. Also, I appreciate your saying that the work that you have done is to scale, because even though we don't have like a compass rose to tell us, like, 1 inch equals, so far so many feet, it's at least that would have been helpful too, because we're trusting you to say 5,500 square feet. But it would be nice to have it out there so we can see it. Let's see what else. Can we have the poll before we move on? Give us an idea of what the community is thinking.
Yes, and let me see if I could pull up those results.
Yeah.
Which poll would you like to hear about?
Well, I had very strong opinions about the bathroom. I like both because I couldn't make up my mind on the second one.
So 60% preferred to keep it with the old design.
Okay, so how many people responded though?
10.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yes, so that's
10 is 60%, or 10 would be, so 6 out of 10. Is that what you're saying?
no, 10 people responded. There's 18 people on the call.
Okay, good. See, now that helps me. Okay, so that makes me feel like we're getting a good sampling. It's
Right. And I think that sampling needs to be citywide. While this is a good representation, the responses that we're getting from these polls will be combined with what the city-wide, but yes. And then the results of the other poll is kind of hard because everyone's kind of all over the place. 71% wanted the climbing and upper body equipment. 36% wanted slides. 93% wanted swings. 43% merry-go-rounds. 14% balance beams, and 71% for the composite structures.
So I think this is really a good indication, Jeff, that you nailed it, because everybody wanted one of the things on that. We got a good sampling of everybody, all of those skills. So I think that what I'm hearing is that even the community is aware of the importance of using playground equipment for physical benefit and physical enhancement of the children's balance and upper body strength and all of those things. So I'm moving along with you guys, and appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Next, we have Rosa Besser.
Good evening, everybody. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for your work and the plans. I also had some difficulty in deciding on things. As far as the information kiosk, I voted for what did I vote for? Oh, yes, the first one. And I'll tell you why, only because there's somewhere to put your tushy. But you could use the second one, and with I've seen like the tree stump design, just somewhere when you're at the kiosk, if you want to exchange a phone number with somebody, you have somewhere to sit and exchange some information. So it can be smaller, but somewhere you can sit down. I would also say I've seen the dog equipment, and both myself and other people I've talked to, we don't need that. Dogs are too distracted by playing and running around, and also people go to the park so their dogs can leave them alone and burn off some energy. So I'd rather put the dollars into maybe an extra bench for the people and let the dogs go and do their dog thing. As far as the playground goes, love swings, and would also must have an infant seat, not just a regular swing, because it's so disappointing when you go with a very young child and you can't put them in one of those bucket seats. So that's all my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. Next, we have Joe Chilco.
Hello, thank you. Again, good job. This is the first workshop I've attended on this, so you're obviously well along. I think the ADA requirements and restrictions kind of have been well addressed, and they're constraints that you have to deal with. I liked option D because I thought it was a good idea to keep the small dogs away from the large dogs. I did have a question because it's an aerial. What kind of fencing, how tall is it, and how much separation is there between the playground and the large dog areas? I don't want to be, worst scenario situations, but how easily can a large dog get into the playground area is certainly a concern of parents of small children. All the playground equipment was great, but when you forced me to pick three things, I picked the three things that I thought it would incorporate most of the elements. I didn't go for the spinner only because my recollections of that is a lot of lunch was lost on those. And if we can avoid that occurring in a public area, that'd be great. Also, I didn't like the fact that it was metal, because to me, that was a lot more opportunity for unfortunate accidents. My kids are all grown up now, but I remember all of these things when I used to take them to public parks being a concern. So as far as the polling, I find it frustrating when I'm asked a yes/no question when I got a lot more to say. So hopefully when you send out the poll to the citywide area, you give people an opportunity for more open-ended comments. Unfortunately, even though the second choice, and I agree, the more modern is not the way to go, even though it gave better visibility, it looked like a toilet in a bus shelter to me. And that's not in keeping with the aesthetic. So maybe some kind of lattice on the wood as opposed to something that totally blocks out view might be a consideration, but definitely you want to go with something natural. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Joe. Jeff, did you want to address the distance question?
Yeah, I was gonna say the type of fencing is lodge pole fencing, 3-rail lodge pole fence. It's 4 to 5 feet tall, and it has a wire mesh attached with finer wire mesh, kind of like critter fencing at the bottom, at the very bottom layers. And so the separation I'm showing in option C and D, the fence is approximately 5 feet from the edge of the playground area. And so at one point we've always been going for about 8 to 5 feet buffer space between the playground and the dog run fence. So I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you. All right, next we have Susie Cooper.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for everything, listening to the community. And I'm really excited that we're going to have like a park for kids and families and community members to go to. So I appreciate it. I have a question and then I have a few comments. My question is, did the dog park size get any smaller from last Tuesday's meeting to today?
I believe it did.
I will say, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, the the last week, option C had a larger dog run area. We shrunk that down to what you see now, and it's closer to going up to the extent of where we had it before and other options, but when it was wider. So it shrunk down. I don't know what square footage we're at now, but we reduced it from the option C of the last week.
Okay, great. Thank you. The reason why I asked that question is because I was thinking about how there's a very big dog run area towards the end, at the end next to the kids' playground area. And I was just thinking that dog park area could be cut down a little, and that you could have picnic tables for the families who are there to eat at. And there's even, like, I believe, a tree there for families to go walk to be right next to the playground area, because many families aren't going to walk over to that beautiful, I think you called it a walnut grove, or I think that's what it's called. It's a great area with the trees and shade, but a lot of kids are scared of dogs and won't walk by. So I was thinking that maybe you can have an open area over right next to the kids' playground with a picnic table or two. And also like an area like Fawn set mentioned as well, just like a running area or bench area with open space for the rest of the community, not just for the kids. But I heard that you guys had 3 areas you were trying, and I wasn't quite sure where that open area is now for people to walk around, because that dog park is still enormous. And I have 1 dog in my hands and 1 dog barking, so I am a dog lover. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that there really isn't that open space, and maybe we can get some picnic tables, but more by the playground. And I appreciate everything. Oh, and I have one other question. Is that poll going to be sent to the rest of the community for what equipment the city's interested in? Because 18 people really isn't a representation of, I think we could get people to, like, more people. I think we can get more people to vote.
Correct. Yes, that's why it's going to be sent out citywide, so we can get more of a community feel than just yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie. Okay, next we have Carolyn Worth.
Hi, I just unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, again, thank you guys so much for continuing to do these seminars for the community. It's really helpful for us. I'm a parent of 2 little ones. I have a 4th grader and a 5th grader at Chaparral, and I spoke last week, and I'm going to speak again. I appreciate all of the the updates you guys keep telling us about. I'm curious because in looking at the 2 plans that you have here, I can't quite tell, and I guess Susie might have been asking this too, about how much sort of open grassy space there is for, parents and kids to throw a Frisbee or throw a ball around or anything like that. Because I feel like that's something that doesn't cost any money. It's not adding more equipment or, a bigger roof or anything like that. It's just sort of allowing space for us to be able to utilize in a way that we just really haven't had a big grassy field around here to our use anymore, ever since they closed AC Stell for us. That's one question. I guess I'll just ask them and then I'll let you guys answer them. My second question was, I know you mentioned something about an area for bicycles, maybe putting but I think you said something about, like a bike parking area. Is there going to be a place for kids to ride bikes there? Because that would be kind of nice. I don't know if there's any sort of flat sidewalk area that they could ride bikes on. That's a nice idea. And my third comment was going on with one of the other people that spoke a little bit ago, talking about looking at other parks and what we might be able to draw from that is in Tongva Park in Santa Monica, if you guys are familiar with that one, that's kind of a relatively new park they built, I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years or so. They put slides on the hill. So it's like a rolling kind of conveyor belt type thing that a kid can just walk up the hill and go down on that slide. And that's kind of a nice way to utilize, you know, a hill structure without having to move it. So just some things to think about, and hopefully you remember all my questions. Open grassy space, riding bikes, and slides on hills. There you go. I'll let you guys talk.
Thank you, Carolyn. First, I want to mention there won't be grass space. That is an all-natural park. So it's going to, the areas that are going to be enclosed for the dog park and the playground are going to be a wood fiber, a wood chip, or engineered fiber for that area. So there won't be grass. I think we can look at adding some more open space, but again, the open space that would be between the dog park and the playground, once we start getting up that hill. So we're trying to use all the flat area, like Jeff mentioned, for the entrances and for the playground. So we could look at adding a picnic or a picnic table there, but it's not going to be a completely open space where you can play ball and you could do certain things. Again, there's slopes there, and there will not be grass in the park. It's going to remain with its natural aesthetic. So I hope that answers your question. Bike path, there won't be a bike path, but there is the new sidewalks that are going to be installed and constructed in that area that like Jeff was saying, someone could ride their bike there and park it there. There won't necessarily be a bike path or a bike trail kind of thing to use that. But then there could be some folks that use a mountain bike on the trails, things like that. And then the last question, I'm sorry, I did not write that one down. Jeff, did you do that one?
Yeah, she mentioned slides.
Oh, yes.
Rolling bikes on the side of the slope. And someone previously mentioned kind of the free for all play on the slopes. And certainly all of the open space that remains in the park is open for any type of activity. If people brought their own types of games, that is that's certainly welcome at the park. Now, when we're planning the play equipment area, that's more of like the formalized play equipment feature area. And then the rest of the park is completely open for all kinds of activities that you can think of. I would say if there is a frisbee throwing opportunity, it would be where we're showing the small dog enclosure in option D. That is the remaining flat area that we don't have things on. And option C, that area is open, and that would be a flat, open, grassy area, but it's not turf grass. It's just the natural native grasses that grow. It's a little lumpy. There's gophers and stuff. I don't know if you'd want to run and catch a frisbee. It's a little rough terrain. You might twist your ankle, but certainly that would be the remaining opportunity for a flat space. So yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
And I just want to reiterate, in listening to the community and making the playground a little larger, a lot of our funding is going to need to go towards play equipment. So for these additional amenities that would work well in the park, we could probably do those in another phase at another time. Right now, we have the specific council-approved project, the scope, which is the playground, the dog park, and the small amenities in the parking lot. So we're going to need to spend, a bulk of the funding on some grading and playground equipment and fencing, things of that nature. So we will make those notes. Those are great things to add to the park. as we move forward. So thank you. Next, we have Anna. You're muted, Anna.
Hi, yes, this is Joanna Ing, and I've just been listening to everybody, and thank you so much for all your hard work with the community. Super excited about the park. I do have 3 kids and no place for them to play on the weekends. We would love a natural habitat for them to climb up and slide down on cardboard boxes. I think what Fawn Binford said earlier is amazing. That's a great way to use that hillside, and also perhaps even rock climbing or rope that they can climb up the hill to get down the slope, maybe make it a bobsledding type of cement slippery slide that would eliminate the entire playground on the bottom. And perhaps maybe you could use that flat ground and allow people to, you know, play volleyball or soccer or throw frisbee, and perhaps maybe a merry-go-round at the corner. So that would save, I think, the community a lot of money. It's natural, it's aesthetic, and it goes with the park.
Okay, thank you, Anna. We appreciate your comments. There's no other hands raised, so we're going to ask everyone that's still on the call. Oh, we have a hand raised. Go ahead, Grace.
This is actually Nick. Grace had to step out, but I just had a real quick question on the schematics there. I know you mentioned there was some shade structure for the dogs, but we all know how hot it can get here in the summertime. Is there any plan, hopefully, to have any type of shade in the playground area or over the playground structure at all? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. So some of the play equipment, like the composite structures that Jeff was speaking of, come with shade structure. If not, we are looking at other ways to provide shade. We know that was important to the community and came in high on the polls. So we are definitely looking at that. It won't only be in the dog park area. We're just trying to determine how best to incorporate shade in the playground area, but there will definitely be shade. Okay, so we're going to move forward with the poll to let us know if you like option C or D. I'm going to put them up here so you're reminded of which is which, and I will launch this poll. We're going to go for about another 30 seconds. All right. So to let everyone know the results, about 60% liked option D. So we will put that out to the community and see how the rest of the community would like to vote on that. So I'm going to end this poll, and that, if you could scan this QR code and give us a rating on your experience here tonight, we'd appreciate that. So thank you everyone for attending and providing feedback. We're excited. We're moving forward with the project and giving the community what they need. I want to thank Jeff for being on the call and all the hard work he's been doing. Michael Klein and Robert Yolda, thank you so much for being on the call and available to answer any questions. So with that, we will conclude our workshop. And obviously this won't be the last you'll hear from us. We will continue to refine the designs and still look for input from the community. So again, we appreciate it and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.